Officer Vance Reilly's flashlight beam cut across Dr. Khalil Bennett's face in the hospital parking lot. Hands where I can see them now. Khalil froze mid-reach for his briefcase, still in scrubs from his shift. His hospital ID badge swung from his neck, name clearly visible. "This your car?" Reilly circled the modest Honda Civic, hand resting on his holster. Khalil nodded slowly, carefully. "Stolen vehicle matching this description. Step away from the vehicle." 3 more patrol cars arrived within moments. Sirens split the late-night silence. Khalil's hand stayed raised as backup officers emerged, footsteps echoing across empty asphalt. One officer kicked his briefcase open, files scattered across the ground, medical journals, patient charts, a faculty parking permit with his name printed in bold letters. Have you ever been treated like a criminal while doing your job perfectly? This is one of those real-life stories that reveals how black stories like Khalil's expose systemic problems. Reilly called dispatch on his radio, his voice carrying across the lot. Suspect matches profile. Black male, late 30s, professional clothing as disguise. Khalil took a slow breath. 15-hour ER shift. Double trauma surgery. He had parked in his assigned spot like he did every shift. His voice stayed level, controlled. "Officer, I'm Dr. Khalil Bennett. I'm a trauma surgery resident here. I just finished my shift." Reilly cut him off with a raised hand. "Save the story for the station. ID could be fake." A second officer, Kai Nakamura, approached from the patrol car. He checked his computer screen, squinting at the monitor, his brow furrowed. He walked over to Reilly, whispered something Khalil couldn't hear. Reilly glanced at the screen, then back at Khalil. He shook his head. "Run his name for warrants," Reilly ordered. Khalil's jaw tightened. He knew this script. He had lived versions of it before. "Officer, my shift supervisor is Dr. Elena Vargas. She's inside the building right now. One phone call will confirm everything." "I decide who I call." Reilly stepped closer, invading Khalil's space. "Hands behind your back." As Khalil turned slowly for cuffing, the contents of his open briefcase became visible to anyone looking. A lanyard with multiple key cards lay among the scattered papers. Most were standard hospital access cards, but one was different. A black card with gold embossing, face down in the pile. The text wasn't visible from this angle. A leather folder rested nearby, embossed with City Medical Board in silver lettering. Khalil's tablet screen was still lit, showing an email preview. The subject line read, Commissioner Bennett, Budget Approval Meeting. His phone buzzed repeatedly on the ground. The screen illuminated with each call. Mayor's office flashed across the display. Then it went dark, then lit up again with another call. Reilly saw none of this. His focus was on control, on procedure, on the narrative he had already constructed. He secured the handcuffs, metal clicking against Khalil's wrists. The hospital's side entrance opened. Darius Torres, the night security guard, stepped out. He was in his late 50s, black, wearing his uniform jacket against the October cold. His eyes went wide when he saw Khalil in handcuffs. "What's happening?" Darius called out, walking quickly toward them. "Dr. Bennett." Reilly pivoted toward him. "Stay back. This doesn't concern you." Darius pulled his radio from his belt. "We have a situation in Lot 7. Dr. Bennett is being detained by police. I need a supervisor out here." "Get that rent-a-cop away from my scene." Reilly gestured to Nakamura. Nakamura hesitated. He was still looking at his phone, his face going pale. He glanced at Khalil, then at Reilly, then back at his phone. He didn't move to intercept Darius. Reilly didn't notice Nakamura's hesitation. He was focused on Darius, on maintaining control of the situation. The side entrance opened again. Elena Vargas, the hospital night administrator, emerged. She was holding her smartphone, already recording. The hospital's side entrance opened. Elena Vargas, the hospital night administrator, emerged. She was holding her smartphone, already recording. "Officer, I'm Elena Vargas, administrator on duty." Her voice was firm, professional. "Dr. Bennett is our chief trauma resident. What's the cause for this detention?" "Police business." Reilly turned to face her, hand moving toward his belt. "Turn off that phone or you'll be joining him." "I'm documenting a potential civil rights violation per hospital policy." Elena didn't lower the phone. "This recording is being saved to our secure server in real time." Reilly's jaw clenched. He took a step toward her. Khalil spoke for the first time since the cuffs went on. His tone was calm, steady. "Officer Reilly, Ms. Vargas is following protocol. The hospital requires documentation of all incidents involving staff." "I didn't ask you to speak." More people emerged from the building. 2 nurses ending their shifts, an EMT, a janitor. All of them knew Khalil. All of them pulled out phones. The parking lot filled with small glowing screens, all pointed at the same scene. Nakamura finally ran Khalil's license properly through the system. The computer returned detailed information. Dr. Khalil Bennett, MD, address listed in Wellington Heights, one of the city's wealthy suburbs. And then a note. Sealed advisory, command-level access. Nakamura's hand shook slightly as he showed Reilly the screen. His record is completely clean, not even a parking ticket. We should probably. Plenty of criminals use fake credentials. Reilly barely glanced at the information. I've seen doctors deal drugs. We're bringing him in for verification. But the car isn't stolen. Dispatch confirmed there's no report matching. We finish our job. Reilly cut him off. Standard procedure. Khalil stood quietly, hands cuffed behind his back. His jaw was tight, but his breathing stayed controlled. This wasn't anger. This was something else. Calculation, patience. He had been here before in different forms, different parking lots, different pretexts. His silence was strategic, not submission. Reilly guided him toward the patrol car, hand on his upper arm, grip unnecessarily firm. As they moved, Khalil's phone vibrated again on the ground where it fell. The screen lit up one more time. Chief Ellison Urgent flashed across the display. No one picked it up. The call went to voicemail. The screen went dark. Elena kept recording. Darius stood with his radio, waiting for the supervisor he called. The small crowd of hospital staff watched in silence. Nakamura stared at his computer screen, reading the sealed advisory notice he didn't have clearance to open. And Dr. Khalil Bennett, hands cuffed behind his back, hospital scrubs still on, ID badge still hanging from his neck, waited. He didn't argue. He didn't shout. He didn't demand to speak to anyone. He simply waited, eyes forward, breathing steady. He knew something no one else in this parking lot knew yet. This night was going to change everything, not just for him, not just for Officer Reilly, for the entire department. But that revelation was still hours away. Elena Vargas didn't stop recording. She shifted her angle to capture Reilly's badge number clearly. Then she opened Twitter on her phone, started a new post. Her fingers moved quickly across the screen. Our trauma surgeon being arrested in our parking lot for matching a description. No stolen car, no crime. Just a black doctor after his shift. She tagged the city police department's official account. She added a hashtag. Hashtag Justice for Bennett. She attached the video clip. She hit post. The engagement counter started climbing immediately. Shares, retweets, comments. Inside her car, Elena watched the numbers rise. She called the hospital's media relations director, waking her up. We have a situation you need to see. Check Twitter right now. Minutes after the initial post, a local reporter monitoring police scanners saw the video. He was awake anyway, working the overnight crime beat. He called the hospital. He called the police department's public information office. No one answered. He retweeted the video with his own commentary. His followers saw it immediately. The hashtag Justice for Bennett began trending locally, then regionally. Reilly ordered Elena to stop filming. She refused, citing the First Amendment. He threatened to arrest her for interference. She reminded him she was standing feet away on hospital property, not interfering with any legitimate police activity. Nakamura watched this exchange with growing concern. He pulled out his personal phone, texted someone. His thumbs moved fast. A white SUV pulled into the parking lot. Sergeant Lila Kowalski emerged, night shift supervisor for this district. Nakamura had briefed her by phone during the drive. She walked directly to Reilly. What's your probable cause? Her tone was clipped, professional. Suspicious vehicle, evasive suspect behavior. Reilly didn't look at her, focused on his paperwork. His car isn't stolen. He works here. Witnesses confirm it. Kowalski gestured at the growing crowd. Uncuff him. He could still have warrants. Procedure says he has 0 warrants. I checked personally. Kowalski's voice dropped lower. This detention is over. Reilly hesitated. His hand moved toward the handcuff key on his belt. He unlocked one cuff slowly, then the other. The metal released with a soft click. Khalil rubbed his wrists. He said nothing. Reilly straightened, defensive now. I'm filing a report about his aggressive posture and failure to comply immediately. Let's see if the hospital likes that investigation. The implicit threat hung in the air. Make Khalil's life difficult through paperwork, background flags, future stops, a permanent note in the system. Khalil spoke for the first time in minutes. His voice was calm, measured, carrying no anger. "File whatever you need to, Officer Reilly. I'll be filing my own report." Reilly smirked. "Good luck with that." Kowalski apologized to Khalil privately, voice low enough that the phones couldn't pick it up clearly. She offered to drive him home. Khalil declined politely. He walked back to his car, collecting the scattered files from his briefcase. His movements were methodical, unhurried. The crowd began to disperse. Elena ended her live stream. The view count showed thousands of people had watched. The video would stay on the hospital's Twitter account. Permanent, time-stamped, undeniable. Khalil sat in his Honda, hands resting on the steering wheel. He took slow breaths. His face showed exhaustion, humiliation, but also something else. Control. Calculation. This wasn't his first encounter. It wouldn't be his last. But this time was different. Reilly lingered near his patrol car, talking to two other officers who arrived as backup. Thompson and Hayes, both younger, both eager to impress senior officers. From Khalil's car, he could see them, but couldn't hear their words. Only body language. Reilly gesturing dismissively, the others nodding. One of them laughed. Khalil picked up his phone from the passenger seat, where Nakamura had placed it after collecting his belongings. He scrolled through missed calls. Chief Robert Ellison, personal cell. Multiple attempts. His thumb hovered over the callback button. He didn't press it. Not yet. Instead, he opened a voice memo app. He spoke quietly, clearly. Officer badge number named Reilly. Detained without cause. Handcuffed. Threatened hospital staff. Sergeant Kowalski intervened after minutes. Incident recorded by multiple witnesses and hospital surveillance. Officer made clear through selective enforcement and language that this was racially motivated, adding to documentation file. He saved the memo. The file name showed automatically. Incident number. He opened the folder where it was stored. The label read, Pattern Documentation. Dozens of other audio files were already there. Dates, times, badge numbers, locations. Some were his own encounters, traffic stops, street interactions, building entries questioned. Others were recordings sent to him by people who knew he was collecting evidence. Teachers, lawyers, pastors, engineers, all professionals, all black, all with similar stories. He had been building something, not for revenge, for reform, but no one knew this yet. Khalil started his car and drove home. While he drove, the internet didn't sleep. The video clips from different angles had spread across multiple platforms: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Each platform's algorithm recognized engagement, pushed the content higher. The police union issued a defensive statement. Officers followed standard protocol for suspicious activity reported in the area. No suspicious activity was reported. The statement was technically false, but it was out there now, part of the narrative. The hospital released a counterstatement. Dr. Bennett is a valued member of our medical staff and was the victim of apparent racial profiling. We are cooperating with all investigations. By morning, #JusticeForBennett had tens of thousands of tweets. Cable news morning shows mentioned it in their Trending Stories segment. Doxing attempts on Officer Reilly began from anonymous accounts. Khalil's supporters, not Khalil himself, dug up Reilly's social media, his address, his wife's workplace. Khalil didn't participate in any of this. He arrived home to his wife, Angela, and 2 kids, all sleeping. He didn't wake them. He showered. He put on a suit, charcoal gray, perfectly tailored. He made coffee in the quiet kitchen. He checked his email. Chief Robert Ellison called again. Khalil let it go to voicemail. He wasn't ready to talk yet. He needed to control the timing of this conversation. Another call. The screen showed Mayor Lila Chen's direct line. This one, he answered. "Good morning, Madame Mayor." "Khalil, I just saw the video. I'm so sorry." Her voice carried genuine distress. "We need to talk. Can you come to my office?" Khalil paused. A strategic pause. "I have a better idea. Come to mine." Silence on the other end of the line. "Your office?" Chen sounded confused. "I'll text you the address. Bring Chief Ellison." Khalil's tone was polite but firm. Not a request. An instruction. He ended the call before she could respond. The power dynamic had shifted. Khalil was no longer reacting. He was directing. And in hours, everyone would understand exactly what that meant. Khalil sat in an office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Morning light streamed across a mahogany desk. Behind him, an entire wall displayed framed credentials in neat rows. MD from Johns Hopkins, MPH from Harvard, JD from Yale, earned through night school while completing his medical residency. But it was the lower row of frames that told the real story. Chair, City Police Oversight Commission appointed years ago. Volunteer Commissioner, Mayor's Public Safety Advisory Board, appointed. Special Advisor to the Mayor, Public Safety Reform, current. The door nameplate was visible when his assistant Jennifer entered with coffee. It read, Dr. Khalil Bennett, MD, MPH, JD, Special Advisor to the Mayor, Public Safety Reform. Mayor Lila Chen and Chief Robert Ellison just entered the building. Jennifer set the coffee down, her voice efficient. Conference room B is ready. Should I do anything about the press? Khalil looked up from his tablet. What press? Outlets outside. They followed the mayor's car from City Hall. Khalil didn't smile, but something flickered across his face. Satisfaction. Let them wait. Mayor Lila Chen entered the conference room first. She was a black woman in her late 50s, a political veteran who had worked with Khalil for years on reform initiatives. Her face showed embarrassment and anger, but also weariness. She knew Khalil well enough to recognize when he was operating strategically. Chief Robert Ellison followed. White, late 50s, years on the force. He had met Khalil at commission meetings, shaken his hand at public events, but clearly he hadn't connected the doctor being arrested in a viral video to the commissioner who reviewed his department's policies. Dr. Bennett, I can't apologize enough. Ellison started talking immediately. His discomfort was obvious. Officer Reilly will be... Sit down, Chief. Khalil's tone wasn't raised, didn't need to be. Ellison sat, Chen sat. They faced Khalil across the conference table. Khalil opened his tablet, connected it to the wall-mounted screen. A presentation loaded. The first document appeared, Officer Vance Reilly's personnel file. Complete, unredacted, years on the force. Multiple civilian complaints, all dismissed or marked unfounded by internal affairs. Khalil didn't editorialize. He simply highlighted the numbers. Complaints from black or Latino civilians. Complaints from white civilians. All complaints from people of color were dismissed. Some of the white civilian complaints resulted in counseling letters. The second document, body camera footage analysis. Khalil's team, working under Official Oversight Commission authority, pulled Reilly's last traffic stops via Freedom of Information Act requests. A high percentage of stops involved people of color. The city's demographic data showed a lower POC population. Average stop duration for white drivers was shorter. Average stop duration for black drivers was much longer. Multiple uses of force over the years, most against people of color. One against a white suspect who was actively fleeing and attacked the officer first. Ellison's face went gray. How did you obtain all this data? My commission has independent access to all body camera footage per city code. You voted for that code. Chief, you attended the signing ceremony. The third document appeared. Audio file. Reilly's voice captured on body camera he thought was off, speaking to his partner after releasing a black teenager from a traffic stop. Khalil played it. The audio quality was clear. Punk got lucky. Next time he won't have daddy's lawyer on speed dial. These kids need to learn respect. The room went silent. Ellison tried to respond. That investigation was sealed. We handled it internally. Your department sealed it. My commission accessed it through our statutory authority. Nothing was hacked. Nothing was stolen. We simply exercised the oversight powers the city council granted us. Khalil paused. Powers designed specifically to catch situations like this. The fourth document, a spreadsheet, color-coded, documented incidents of racial profiling by Officer Reilly over years, other officers showing similar patterns. Combined total, complaints dismissed without proper investigation. Internal affairs investigators were named. Some of them had social media posts Khalil's team discovered, posts affiliated with groups suggesting coded language about protecting our neighborhoods and taking back our streets. Deputy Chief Sophia Rivera looked physically ill. She hadn't known. Ellison clearly hadn't known either, or hadn't wanted to know. These officers frequently work together, cover for each other in reports. Their body camera footage shows patterns. When one makes a questionable stop, others arrive as backup. Corroborate the narrative. Khalil stopped the presentation, leaned back in his chair. Here's what happens next. You have two paths. Path 1. Federal intervention. Khalil summarized the consent decree he had prepared. Federal monitor assigned to the department. All promotions frozen. All hiring decisions require DOJ approval. Public dashboard of every complaint, every stop, every use of force. Duration, years minimum. Annual compliance cost, millions. Timeline, DOJ announcement soon. If Path 2 isn't chosen. Path 2. Voluntary reform. Khalil's terms. He distributed copies of the bound document, the Accountability and Trust Initiative. He walked them through key provisions. Immediate actions. Officer Reilly terminated within hours. No suspension, no paid leave. Fired. Other officers suspended pending full review of their complaint histories. Captain Morris, who signed off on dismissing Reilly's complaints, reassigned out of internal affairs immediately. Structural changes. Body cameras always on. No officer discretion to turn off during public interactions. Tampering results in automatic termination. Independent civilian review board with civilians. Votes public. Findings published online. Public database goes live. Every traffic stop entered in real time. Officer name, badge number, reason for stop, duration, outcome, demographic data, fully searchable by any member of the public. Training overhaul. De-escalation training increases. Implicit bias workshops become mandatory. Crisis intervention training required for all officers, not optional. Scenario-based practice with actors from diverse backgrounds. Accountability metrics. Sustained complaints trigger automatic fitness for duty review. Use of force incidents reviewed by external panel within hours. Traffic stop data audited quarterly. Disparities require written explanation from supervising sergeants. The final provision, printed in bold. Any failure to comply triggers immediate federal consent decree with no negotiation period. Union VP Vance Thornton's face turned red. This is insane. You're treating cops like criminals. We have a contract. Your contract requires adherence to all applicable laws. Racial profiling violates federal law and the 14th Amendment. Khalil's tone stayed calm. Officers who engage in racial profiling lose qualified immunity. They become personally liable. The union can't protect officers from federal civil rights violations. City Attorney Michelle Reeves nodded. She had vetted every word of Khalil's plan. It was legally sound. Ellison made one last attempt. This would take time to implement. We'd need budget increases, union negotiations. You have hours to accept the framework. Implementation begins immediately. Budget is allocated. The mayor has already repurposed funds from planned projects. Chen nodded confirmation. She and Khalil had coordinated off-camera. She had already moved the money, already prepared the press statement. And Chief, Khalil leaned forward slightly. If Officer Reilly is still employed when I check the roster tonight, I release the audio archive, all of my documented encounters, all from other victims, time-stamped, geotagged, corroborated. I'll hold a press conference and play them one by one. The room went completely silent. Ellison knew he had lost. Accept the reforms and possibly save his reputation or fight and lose everything to federal oversight. He looked around the table. No one met his eyes. I need to consult with my command staff, Ellison said finally. You have hours. Khalil closed his laptop. I'll be waiting. He stood, walked out. The meeting was over. He had dictated the terms. He would wait for their answer. But everyone in that room knew there was only one answer possible. Mayor Lila Chen stood at a podium outside City Hall. Chief Robert Ellison stood to her left, looking like he had aged years in one day. Dr. Khalil Bennett stood to her right, calm and composed. Camera flashes lit up the evening. Every local outlet was there. National networks sent reporters. The story had gone viral. Ellison read from a prepared statement. The city will implement comprehensive police reform through a voluntary initiative. Officer Reilly has been terminated, effective immediately. Officers suspended pending investigation. Independent civilian review board will be established within days. Body camera policies changing next week. He didn't mention Khalil forced this. He presented it as the department's choice. Leadership responding to community concerns. Everyone watching knew better. Reporters shouted questions. Most were directed at Khalil. Dr. Bennett, why didn't you identify yourself as police commissioner last night? Khalil stepped to the microphone. I shouldn't have to. Every citizen deserves the same respect whether they're a commissioner or a cashier. That's the entire point of reform. Days later, Officer Reilly's termination was upheld by emergency arbitration. The union filed a grievance but didn't push hard. The evidence was overwhelming. The viral video, the body camera footage, the documented pattern of complaints. Even the union lawyers knew this was unwinnable. Reilly gave one interview to a sympathetic podcast, claiming he was the victim of reverse racism and political correctness. No major outlet picked up the story. His law enforcement career was finished. No department would hire him with this record. Captain Morris accepted voluntary retirement, pension intact, reputation damaged. It was the compromise Khalil allowed to avoid lengthy litigation. Morris left quietly. Months after the reforms began, new systems started appearing. The technology infrastructure launched first, an app called Clarity Now, developed by a nonprofit tech organization Khalil had connected with months ago. Every traffic stop generated an automatic public record. Officer name, badge number, reason for stop, duration, outcome. Civilians could access their own stop history, see patterns, file complaints directly through the app. The app included an optional live broadcast feature. Civilians pulled over could activate it with one button. Their phone streamed directly to a monitoring center staffed by civilian advocates. The knowledge that someone was watching in real time changed behavior on both sides. Personnel changes followed. Deputy Chief Sofia Rivera was promoted to Chief of Police when Ellison announced early retirement. She was the first Latina police chief in the city's history. Lieutenant Jordan Park became the new head of the training academy, finally implementing the curriculum she had been designing for years. New investigators joined internal affairs. Some came from outside agencies with strong track records. Others came from underrepresented communities within the department, officers who had been frustrated by the old culture. The independent review board seated civilians, retired judges, 0 current officers. Their first meeting was public. Their votes were public. Their findings would be published online within hours of each decision. Training programs launched across the department. Partnership with the local university's psychology department brought evidence-based implicit bias research into every training session. Officers learned about unconscious bias, how it affected split-second decisions, how to recognize and counteract it. Community ride-along program required hours from all officers. They spent shifts with community members from diverse neighborhoods, seeing the city from civilian perspectives. Some officers resisted at first. Many were surprised by what they learned. De-escalation scenarios were filmed with professional actors representing various demographics, ages, mental health conditions. The scenarios were realistic, challenging. Officers were graded not just on outcomes, but on approach, tone, word choice. A trauma-informed policing curriculum taught officers to recognize how previous negative encounters affected civilian behavior. Someone who seemed uncooperative might be experiencing trauma response from past abuse. This context didn't excuse criminal behavior, but it changed how officers approached interactions. The public transparency platform went live. The website updated in real time. Every traffic stop, every arrest, every complaint, every use of force incident. Searchable by officer name, badge number, neighborhood, demographic data. Independent analysts downloaded datasets, published their own reports. The effect was immediate. Traffic stops of black civilians dropped, not because officers avoided legitimate enforcement, but because unjustified stops were too risky. Now every stop was recorded, reviewed, made public. Officers couldn't rely on vague, suspicious behavior justifications anymore. Use of force incidents dropped. Again, not because officers ignored genuine threats, but because de-escalation training worked, because accountability changed the calculation. Civilian complaints dropped. Some of this was better behavior. Some was community members seeing the department take complaints seriously, feeling heard, choosing informal resolution over formal complaints. Officer morale, measured through anonymous surveys, showed support for the changes. Many officers were relieved. They wanted accountability too, wanted bad officers gone, wanted a culture that valued professionalism over aggressive dominance. As for Officer Reilly himself, there was no dramatic downfall, no prison sentence, no public humiliation beyond what he brought on himself. His wife filed for divorce within months. She was an ICU nurse who was horrified by what the investigation revealed about her husband's behavior. She didn't want her name associated with his anymore. Reilly applied to private security firms. All denied him after background checks revealed the termination cause. He moved to a different state, found work managing equipment at a construction company. No badge, no authority, no power over anyone. His name remained permanently linked to the viral video. Search his name online and that parking lot footage appeared first. Always would. Khalil never mentioned him again. Never gloated, never celebrated his downfall. The system dealt with Reilly appropriately. That was enough. Months after the reforms began, Khalil organized a national symposium, Policing in the 21st Century, Reform from Within. Police chiefs attended, civil rights attorneys, community organizers, DOJ representatives. They wanted to learn from the city's model. Khalil's keynote focused on prevention, not punishment. Last year, I was treated like a criminal while wearing scrubs and a hospital badge, but I'm not special. The same thing happens to teenagers walking home, parents dropping kids at school, pastors entering their own churches. The reform isn't about me. It's about the system that made Officer Reilly's behavior acceptable and the culture that protected him for years. He presented updated data, complaints down, use of force down, community trust up, officer morale up, cost savings significant, zero misconduct settlements compared to previous averages. The reforms worked, not because of punishment, but because of accountability. Years later, Khalil still served as Police Oversight Commission chair, but his influence extended far beyond one city. Now cities had adopted versions of his reform framework. Law enforcement journals called it the Bennett Protocol. Despite his protests, he didn't want his name on it. He wanted the ideas to spread regardless of who got credit. Federal legislation was pending in Congress. The Law Enforcement Accountability Act drew directly from his work. He had testified before congressional committees, presenting data, answering questions from both parties. Major publications featured him. How One City Reformed Its Police Without Federal Intervention. The article went viral in different circles. Policy experts, police chiefs, mayors looking for models that worked. Officer recruitment in the city increased. People wanted to work in a department with integrity, clear standards, real accountability. The reforms didn't hurt recruitment, they helped. Community policing initiatives flourished. Basketball leagues, youth mentorship programs, mental health crisis teams pairing unarmed social workers with officers trained in de-escalation. Crime rates remained stable, contradicting critics who predicted reform would cause spikes. Khalil still worked ER shifts twice weekly, still taught at the medical school. His medical license stayed active. His kids, now older, understood what happened that night. The family used it as an ongoing conversation about systemic change versus individual revenge. His wife, Angela, co-authored a law review article about civil rights enforcement mechanisms. She was proud of what Khalil built, but also relieved the death threats from Reilly's supporters finally stopped after months. Khalil received a letter one afternoon, forwarded through attorneys, handwritten from Reilly. It wasn't an apology. It was defensive, self-pitying, blaming political correctness for his termination, claiming he was just doing his job, insisting he never did anything wrong. Khalil read it once, filed it away. Some people never learn. The system couldn't wait for individual enlightenment. It had to change anyway. He gave a TED Talk that same month. When the system targets you, change the system. The video received millions of views in weeks. Comments poured in from people sharing their own stories, thanking him for validating their experiences. His message emphasized documentation as power. Record your encounters. Your phone is a civil rights tool. Evidence matters more than anger. He talked about using privilege strategically. My credentials gave me access to change policy. Use whatever advantage you have to lift others. He stressed patience. I didn't yell at Officer Reilly that night. I waited, gathered evidence, dismantled the system that created Reilly. Strategic thinking beats reactive emotion. Most importantly, he focused on systems over individuals. Reilly losing his job isn't justice by itself. Justice is the teenager who won't be profiled next month because body cameras are always on and data is public. These touching stories, these real-life stories of reform, show how Black stories can drive systemic change. Real stories of injustice become blueprints for accountability. In the final segment, Khalil spoke directly to the camera. If you've watched this far, you probably know someone with a similar story. Maybe it's your story. Maybe you've been pulled over for matching a description. Maybe you've been followed in a store. Maybe you've been told you don't belong somewhere you had every right to be. Share your story in the comments. Document your experiences. Know your rights. Demand transparency from your city. Support reform organizations doing this work. I got justice because I had credentials and connections, but everyone deserves justice. That's what we're building. If this moved you, share this video. Subscribe to stay informed. Real-life stories create real change when enough people hear them.